Hello, Lisa Teachout here, and today we are talking about recitals. We've got a recital coming up in a couple months. I know I just had a performance the other day, so performing is fresh on my mind. So I do have quite a bit of questions that parents ask me about recitals as it always becomes recital season. So I thought it would be a good chance to make a video to answer some of those questions, including why perform? Why perform at all? Should I make my child play in the recital, or are they old enough or advanced enough? What are the benefits of performing? Why even do it? How is my child doing compared to the other students? How can I help my child prepare? And what if my child has a negative experience? So, why perform? This is a question I ask myself. Performing is very stressful. It's very challenging. You're risking being embarrassed. You're risking um, feeling disappointed. So, why do it? Well, it's a chance to challenge yourself. A lot of students love to pick a challenge song and they work really hard on it. And because the recital, usually we have a few months to prepare, so it's a good chance to sit with a song for maybe longer than our normal rhythm of lessons, where we maybe spend a week or two on a piece and then move on. A recital is a chance to kind of sit with a piece for longer, and so it's a good chance to maybe take that time to learn something extra challenging. Also an opportunity to work towards a goal. You get a chance to share music you love, just like sharing a delicious meal or going on vacation with someone or sharing your photos from your vacation. We want to be able to share music. So while, of course, it's okay to just play music for yourself and not perform in front of others, there's something magical about sharing. It gives you the chance to practice courage to be in front of others. And there's so many things that you learn about yourself when you perform. How does my mind and body react under stress? One thing about me, I get really sweaty hands. I don't normally have sweaty hands, but when I perform, my hands get sweaty and it can make performing a challenge. So, because I know that about myself, I come prepared with a special antiperspirant lotion so that my hands can stay dry and I don't have my fingers slipping all over the keys, or I do a lot of percussion where I just can't even hang on to the mallets when my hands are sweaty. So, every time you perform, you kind of learn a little bit about yourself, and that can inform future performances. How can I stay in control over my thoughts? This is something I'm still working towards, but my mind definitely gets distracted when I perform. And, it's a practice to stay in the moment and be grounded and focus on what you're doing and not let distractions or extra sounds or extra thoughts take over. What do I need to do to prepare for a performance? In my early days of performing, I would practice my piece and I could play it perfectly, but I maybe didn't do the mental and emotional preparation necessary, how am I going to feel if I make a mistake? How am I going to be able to recover from that? What do I need to do? Do I need a good night's sleep? Do I need to eat a good breakfast? Do I need to exercise, or do I need to do some deep breathing and stay calm? Everybody's different. So the more you perform, the more you can learn about yourself and what you need to do to feel your most prepared. And that's not just knowing your song really well, it's also preparing yourself emotionally, mentally, all physically, all those things. How do I cope under pressure? Until you're in the moment, you don't really know. Like I said, with the sweaty hands, I mean, who would have guessed? I don't normally get sweaty hands. So why is it that when I'm under pressure, my hands sweat? Yeah, until you're in that moment, you don't know. More learning. You have to be a quick problem solver in a performance. The other day when I was in my concert, I had a memory lapse. I was playing a duet with a friend and he kept on playing. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, how can I come back in? How can I make this as least noticeable? How can I make sure not to throw off my partner so that then he makes a mistake? All of this is happening live in the moment. And then, of course, try to keep my poker face like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to sound like in the meantime. So you really have to become a quick problem solver when things aren't going well. Mental focus, I think I kind of already mentioned that. Self acceptance, man, this is a huge one. And of course, I'm still learning that, but I am really happy with myself that at my most recent performance, I had several memory lapses but I still feel really good about the performance. And I know in my early days of performing, I'd really be beating myself up and I'd be crying and I'd be upset. And so being able to have some self acceptance and recognize, even if things didn't go the way I wanted, I know that I worked hard and I did my best and I did a really amazing job despite whatever mistakes happened. So we have to kind of learn how to have self acceptance as a performer. The ability to recover. Hey, you know what? No matter what happens, I know I'm going to be able to make it to the end. And that gave me a lot of peace of mind. Getting into my most recent performance was, hey, I know this piece so well that even if something stupid happens, like a memory lapse or a distraction or whatever, I know that I'm going to be able to make it to the end. And I did. Okay, so why is performing so difficult? Well, it's kind of obvious. First thing is, it's very easy to play the comparison game, especially in recitals. And I think this hits a nerve with parents too. A lot of parents will ask me, like, oh, hey, I noticed that it seemed like the other kids were playing something more advanced than my child. Like, how's my child doing? We're kind of putting our kids on display, and that can make parents feel self conscious. And certainly it can make students feel self conscious as well. So, of course, we do not want to play the comparison game. We don't know. Maybe that other child has been in lessons longer. Maybe they've been working on their piece for longer. Maybe piano is their only activity, whereas this other child, they're in, dance, gymnastics, sports, etc. So maybe their attention is split a little bit. Uh, it's it's really hard sometimes not to compare yourself to others when you're performing with other people. So we have to kind of learn how not to do that and only compare our own journey with ourselves. Like, well, I felt more relaxed at this performance than I did the last one, or I felt more prepared for this performance than I did the last one, or certainly my skill has improved since the last recital. Like those are the kind of comparisons that are healthy to make. Comparing to other people is just going to lead you down to a road of feeling bad about yourself. So try to avoid it, and we'll try to teach the kids also to avoid that. But that is something that makes performing very difficult. Of course, the unknown. That is what makes performing exciting and also really scary, is anything can happen. Well, yeah, sure, I've played my piece perfectly 1,000 times, but am I going to be able to do that this next time? I don't know. Maybe my music will blow off the stand. Maybe the power will go out. By the way, all of those things have happened to me. Maybe I'll have a memory lapse. It's certainly happened to me. Maybe I'll get really sweaty hands and I won't be able to hold on to my sticks. Uh, Anything can happen. So that's what makes performing scary, but it is also what makes it exciting. Attachment to a singular outcome. I think in my early days of performing, it's like the only way I can walk away from this performance feeling happy is if I play every single note perfectly and everything goes exactly the way I want. And I walk away feeling like this was my best performance of my life. And so I kind of was setting myself up for disappointment by putting that pressure on myself that the only way I can be happy is this, and this. And of course, a lot of those things you don't have any control over. So uh, we want to avoid getting attached to one specific outcome that is everything goes exactly the way I imagine it and nothing goes wrong. Stage fright. Most everybody has stage fright. There's maybe a handful of students who really just don't get nervous playing in front of others, but pretty much everybody does. So we kind of have to learn how to cope with that and perform anyway, and not let stage fright be an inhibiting factor. And I think the great thing is that if you can feel that stage fright and perform anyway, that is such a skill that can transfer to so many other areas of your life, whether it's public speaking or putting on a job presentation or approaching your crush. If you can take those feelings of nervousness and know that you can function in spite of those, that's a really important learning. A lot of parents feel concern for their child. Maybe you've had a negative experience yourself. I know negative performances have caused a lot of students to quit lessons along their journey. And of course, we don't want that to happen. We want our kids to come away with it having a good time, feeling positive about themselves. And the truth is that despite all the preparation that we make, we may have a negative experience here and there. And of course, the more you perform, the easier it gets, but also the more likely you are to have a negative experience. I've had many, many negative experiences performing. So, what the thing to remember is that mistakes are an opportunity for growth. How do I know that I want to wear my hair back and I want to wear the comfortable shoes and I want to bring my antiperspirant lotion and I want to do my breathing exercises? The reason I know all those things is I've made all those mistakes. How do I know I need to bring clothespins for my music so they don't blow off the stand? How do I know that I need to practice in the dark in case the power goes out? Right? Like all of those mistakes that I've made have informed me as a performer and helped me so that I can be better prepared for the next performance. And I think I missed out on a lot of opportunities in my early days of performing because things would just go wrong. And I didn't really take that time to think like, well, how could I have prevented that? It just feels like, oh man, I have no control. And maybe the performance will be great. Maybe it'll be terrible. I have zero control. And that kept me from becoming a better performer. It really slowed down my progress as a performer because I didn't take those mistakes and think, what can I do to prevent that? I just kind of took the mistake and felt sad and disappointed and anger, and I'm never performing again. And then the next performance would come around, and then, I would make some of the same mistakes again. So let's remember that mistakes are an opportunity for growth and to use those opportunities for growth instead of just, punching the wall or smashing our head against the wall because of a mistake. Okay, of course, we're going to show empathy when a child does have a negative experience, like, oh man, I know that you worked so hard and you really wanted it to go better. And it's such a bummer that things didn't go the way you wanted. And show empathy and validate those emotions, because when we put so much hard work and so much heart and passion into a performance and then it doesn't go the way we want, it is really hard. So show empathy, and we will as well. Emphasize the learning. I kind of already mentioned that. So, man, I'm so sorry that your performance didn't go the way you want. What can we do differently next time? Is there a way that we can take what happened and do something different next time so that hopefully that doesn't happen again? Or what can we learn from that? And then encourage to try again. Like, there's going to be another performance. And I think in my early days of performing, I would perform maybe once a year. And man, that put a lot of pressure. Like, if this performance doesn't go well, I have to live in shame, instead of, oh, well, I'm going to try again next week, or I'm going to be trying again tomorrow. Every performance is a practice performance. There's always going to be another performance to try again, to do better, to redeem ourselves if we feel like we need to. So we want to encourage students to get back up on the horse, because yeah, we are going to fall sometimes and we are going to feel embarrassed or disappointed sometimes when we perform, but we can try again. And that really can help. It can help a negative performance from becoming a traumatizing thing we have nightmares about for years and years and years, and we quit piano lessons, to becoming just part of the journey. Let's try again. Okay, so we do a lot at Teachout Music Studio to help students prepare. I have so much performance experience and I've made so many mistakes. I do try to help students avoid some of the pitfalls that I have encountered along my way. Part of it is helping students pace themselves. We want to make sure that students learn their song in an advanced time, so by the time the recital comes around, that they're feeling really confident and comfortable playing their piece. We give a lot of performance opportunities pretty much months before a recital, or at least weeks before a recital. We are practicing performing in front of each other, to help normalize just playing in front of other people. It's a different skill set than just playing the piano in your own space, is playing in front of others. So we give a lot of performance opportunities. We emphasize courage and effort over a perfect, flawless performance. We don't always have control. Our finger might slip or our brain might forget. And we don't have a lot of control over that, but we can control our effort in, hey, I practiced every day for a month. And I had the courage to walk up there and play my song, even if I was feeling nervous. So we want to praise those things that we have control over. Um, to try not to get attached to that singular outcome, like I mentioned before. We let students choose. Our recitals are optional. And I know some parents really want their children to perform. So if that's you, that's great. In which case, we're going to let the students choose what song they want to play. We always want to have students have an element of choice. I think the most traumatizing performances are ones where you go into it not really having a choice. You're playing a song you really don't want to play. It's hard to prepare when you don't love your song. And it can bring a lot of unnecessary pressure and stress. So we want students to have an element of choice. Some kids will love to pick a challenge piece and have something that they can really show off with. And other students just want to pick something easy that they can feel relaxed, something that they love to play, something that helps them feel comfortable and confident. And either way is totally fine. It's important to let students have some control. We also normalize stage fright. As I mentioned, pretty much everybody gets stage fright. So, can you feel nervous and perform anyway? Is kind of how we approach that. And then after you perform through that feeling of nervous, like, man, I hope you feel very proud of yourself because it's not an easy thing to do. We also give students time to reflect on their performance. How did you think you did? How did you feel? What might you try to do better next time? All of those kinds of things are really important after a performance. So some things you as parents can do in addition to all of those things that we do as a studio, be supportive and understanding. Your student might love it if you invite lots of family and friends to come. And some students might prefer if maybe only just mom comes or just dad comes. Maybe they don't want a big crowd watching them. So find out what you can do that's going to support your child. Some parents love to bring flowers and chocolates after a performance. Be prepared with big hugs. Students might need a lot of extra love and support after a performance, especially if there's mistakes or if they're not feeling good about it. They might need a little extra love and support. So be prepared for that just in case. Avoid comparing your child to someone else. Man, that other child performed so beautifully. Can really feel like a stab in the in the heart after a performance. So don't compare your child to someone else. Make sure you give your child a lot of love and let them know how proud you are of them. Yeah. Okay. Focus on how the child feels. If your child is feeling awesome, they think they did a great job, and you're thinking, I've definitely heard you play better, or it didn't actually really sound very good. Let that go. We can focus on helping children progress and become more refined in their ability, but not after a performance. We just want them to be able to feel how they feel, whether they feel great or whether they feel sad about it. Only give constructive feedback if they ask. So if a child's like, oh man, I did so awesome, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, it didn't sound that great to me. Keep that to yourself unless they ask, like, oh, how did you think I did? Oh, you know what? I'm so proud of you for your courage in playing. I think maybe you could have practiced that B section a little bit more, but only if they ask. And then you can give them honest, constructive feedback that might be helpful to inform future performance. Encourage them to reflect. What might they do better next time? How did they feel? I'll send an email after the recital with a few questions for reflection, and younger kids might need a little bit of help, maybe filling that out or just thinking through it. Older kids may or may not, but the reflection time is part of the most important of a performance. And then, of course, encourage your child to try again, especially if they didn't feel super great about how they did. Hey, well, what can we do to give you another chance? Would it feel good to make a video of your song? That way we can get a really good recording of it since yesterday's recital didn't go so well. Maybe let's play it again for grandma, or let's make a video of it if you want. So there's always another performance. Music is a journey. So, anyway, I hope that helps you to feel confident for your child as we approach these upcoming performances. Performing is a whole different skill set outside of just being able to play the piano. So, we want to give students that opportunity to learn about themselves and experience that growth and that opportunity to share, and also do things that are hard. Feel nervous and do it anyway. All of those things. If you have any questions for me, of course, let me know. And in the meantime, we will so look forward to hearing students' performances coming up. And yeah, take care. See you next time.